Welcome back everyone to another Fellow Drops Brew Guide video. My name is Brian and today I'll be telling you about this coffee. This is Bird Rock Coffee Roasters El Socorro. It is a washed Guatemalan coffee that is incredibly unique because of its varietal. It's actually a hybrid between a Maragogype and a Caturra, and you end up with the Maracaturra.
Maracaturra.
It's just a fun word mashup, but what's unique about this is that it's actually very prone to rust. It's not actually a very resilient coffee. It takes a lot of effort from the producer, Juan Diego, to actually manage and ensure that nothing goes wrong through the processing before, of course, it gets roasted. You end up with a coffee that is incredibly delicate, complex, floral, sweet, and that's what we're getting in cup here. And Bird Rock has done a fantastic job at roasting this coffee. And we end up with a coffee that tastes like orange blossom, rhubarb, pie crust, vanilla. It's just a really unique cup when you taste it. And in my experience, it's been fairly flexible. You can push various flavors out. You can push more vanilla, you can push more orange blossom, depending on how you brew it. All right, so really special coffee. Now I'm gonna show you two ways to brew. I'll show you a pour-over recipe on our Stag X dripper, just a very straightforward recipe that we've been using with most of our coffees. And then I'm going to show you an espresso recipe that I spent a bit of time developing because I really like pulling these lighter roast coffees as espresso. All right, let's now brew this as a pour over. I'm actually just using a recipe that we've used in a variety of videos now. Please check those out if you're interested in seeing more detailed close-ups. But we're just gonna do 23 grams in, we're gonna bloom to 50 grams, then we're going to pour 100 to 150, pour another 100 to 250, then pour another 100 to 350. We're using 205 degrees water. Very straightforward. This is a recipe that's going to work across a variety of drippers. I just happen to be using our lovely Stag X dripper. All right, so I have my 23 grams. I am also grinding. For grind size, I would say medium fine to fine. On Ode, for Ode numbers, if you're using a stock Ode like this one here, I would recommend you use anywhere from 2 to 1. This is a light roast coffee, and I would highly recommend you experiment with grind size here. You can feel pretty confident pushing this coffee a bit harder, can grind fairly fine and still get amazing results. So anyway, let's go ahead and brew. And if you're on SSP burrs, try around 5 to 6, depending on how many clicks you have off. If you're around 4 to 5 clicks off chirp, I would say around a 5 to 6 would be pretty good for this coffee. Okay, so just gonna do that first pour here, pouring 50 grams. Go even in concentric circles. If you want to see some close-ups, check out our other videos. But yeah, this is a very straightforward recipe and feel free to adapt it any way you like for whatever coffees you are brewing. Okay, pouring 100, second pour all the way up to 150 in even concentric circles. All right, 150. The next pour will be to 250, and then the final pour will be to 350. Pouring now up to 250 grams in even concentric circles. Then I just pour up to 350 and then we're done. Now we wait for this to drain down and we pour to 350. I found total brew time to be around that 3:30 to 4-minute mark. You can push this even longer and this coffee has done a phenomenal job because it is just of that lighter roast. Now I'm just doing my final pour of 100 grams all the way up to 350. And once I hit 350, I'm just gonna give my dripper a slight agitation at the end. All right, 350 grams. Give your dripper just a slight shake, slight little agitation there. And now we let this drain down So that's the pour over brew guide. If you have any questions, let us know. But this is a coffee that you can definitely push in a variety of directions. You can definitely push more sweetness, more vanilla out of it. But I think there's always this kind of orange blossom acidity, at least in the pour overs that I've tasted. And feel free to experiment with a variety of grind sizes. You can really push this coffee to taste good, even if you grind a bit finer. So now let's go ahead and look at the cooler way to brew things. Let's look at espresso. All right, an espresso machine has magically appeared here. Now I'm going to tell you all about an espresso recipe. For this coffee, we're going to be using 18 grams in, 54 grams out in about 20 to 25 seconds. This is going to be, visually speaking, not a nice looking shot, but you're going to get a lot of nice clarity out of this. You're going to be able to get that orange note, you're going to be able to get that orange blossom, and it's going to finish fairly sweet. You're going to get that vanilla sweetness, basically. And this style of shot is mostly known as a turbo shot, which is going to be fast extracting, fast flowing, but it's incredibly forgiving. Aim for a slightly coarser grind, but don't focus on visuals, focus on how the actual coffee tastes. So would definitely recommend you use a WDT of some sort to just ensure that your puck is properly prepped, especially for these light roast coffees. So I'm using just a slightly coarser grind size here, especially for espresso, because I'm targeting a faster flow rate. And if you do have a machine that has a pressure gauge, try to target around 6 bars or so. But don't worry about the pressure here. It's okay to have a lower pressure shot, especially for these light roast coffees. And again, I'm targeting 18 in, 54 out in around 20 to 25 seconds. Of course, experiment with different times, different flow rates, and all of that. All right, so that's 54 grams in about 25 seconds. And I would say with this type of coffee, it's okay if visually it doesn't look absolutely amazing, because with this style of shot and the longer ratio and the faster flow, you're extracting a ton out. And this is a lighter roast coffee that will allow you to push different grind sizes. Same thing with the pour over. I'm finding in this 1 to 3 espresso, you do get a ton of this orange blossom note, and the finish, because of the style of shot that we pulled as well as the coffee, is more of this vanilla sweetness. I'm finding that there's definitely this vanilla sweetness that comes out in this coffee as an espresso, and if you pull this slightly shorter, you pull it a 1 to 2, you tighten up the grind a bit, pull a more traditional style of shot, it actually works quite well for milk-based drinks. But as an espresso by itself, I'm finding that the longer ratio, faster flowing styles of shot work amazing for these light roast coffees. But otherwise, that was Bird Rock Coffee Roasters El Socorro. If you have any questions regarding fellow drops, brewing, or anything like that, please let us know. But otherwise, thank you so much for spending the time to watch this video. Feel free to subscribe, and thank you so much again for watching. See you around.